just like that, we are back with our live coverage here at reInvent. I'm Am Grabelny. This is AWS On Air. Thank you for joining us. I want to remind everybody we're live. We got chat pulled up. I'm looking at it right now. You can tell I'm looking at it. I'm reading everything you're saying. Give us questions throughout. I got to throw it to my co-host here, though, Robbie. Buddy, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Am. Hello, AWS OnAir community. My name is Robbie Belson, just your friendly neighborhood developer advocate. And we're here talking about HyperPod.
Yeah, we're going to learn about some things that are happening in HyperPod with our buddy Giuseppe down here. Tell the people.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here live at reInvent. I'm Giuseppe Angelo Porcelli. I'm a senior manager in the Amazon SageMaker service team.
Okay, we're going to be learning about what training plans today, Giuseppe, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Amazon SageMaker HyperPod training plans.
Okay, before we jump to that, let's talk about HyperPod first.
Let's start with the basics.
Already said it. What is it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you.
So SageMaker HyperPod is a service that we launched last year at reInvent. We first launched it, which provides you a resilient environment for running distributed training at scale. It's an environment where we run health checks on the infrastructure. We make sure that this infrastructure will be up and running all the time when you do the distributed training. We also are able to replace the instances in case of failure and restart the training when needed.
And so this is the use case here is for training multi-billion parameter foundation models.
Absolutely. We have customers which are doing pre-training of very large foundation models as well as fine-tuning use cases as well.
So many months in, HyperPod's generally available. Customers are using it to train FMs. What are they telling you that motivates the launch of training plans?
Yeah, one of the key challenges that customers are having is getting access to accelerated compute instances. Everyone now is looking for access to on-demand instances like, P5 instances with GPUs or AWS Trainium instances, but on-demand availability, can be scarce because there's huge demand for these instances. On the other side, another way to get access to the capacity is to go through a reservation, to just do a reservation process, long-term reservation with AWS. But that's, a process that you have to kick off. It takes some time. You have to connect with us, do the reservation, and then you have a long-term reservation. You have the instances available, and you can spin up your clusters there. Now, with SageMaker HyperPod training plans, we are addressing this challenge by giving customers the option to get access, to get predictable access to accelerated instance capacity while meeting their timelines and budgets. So knowing exactly how long you want to keep these instances and when the training plan is going to start.
I've started to notice a theme, honestly. So these are all obviously launches from Swami's keynote. We talked earlier with the HyperPod recipe launch team. We talked earlier with the HyperPod task governance. Thank you, Robbie. And I'm starting to notice, right? Like there's this obvious trend of underutilization or overutilization when it comes to these accelerated compute resources. And it sounds like this is another way to give customers a better handle over working with these scarce resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's like the Cinderella effect. Not too big, not too just right. Capacity when you need it. So let's walk through a use case. Let's say I'm training a foundation model. I'm eager to use HyperPod. What does that developer experience look like if I want to create a...
So if you want to use a training plan, well, you can think about a kind of a three-step process. The first thing that you're going to do is to search for a training plan based on your requirements. So your requirements are, the type of instances that you want to use, how long you want to keep these instances, so what is the duration of the plan, requested duration of the plan, how many instances you need, and the start date that you want this plan, the earliest start date for this plan. Then the second thing is, you will search for the plan. Once you get an offer, you will review the offer, you see, the cost of the plan, and then you have to purchase. You purchase the plan.
Okay.
Once the plan is purchased, it moves into a state which is kind of scheduled state. It might not be already active because the plan can also start in the future. It goes into a scheduled state, and then once the plan is, from when the plan is in a scheduled state, you can already spin up your compute resources, your HyperPod cluster, or you can submit even a SageMaker training job if you prefer to use SageMaker training jobs using that training plan. What will happen later on is that when the training plan is activated, it reaches the start date, then HyperPod will spin up automatically the instance group, so the infrastructure. Or if you're using training job, the training job will be spin up automatically.
You know what, Giuseppe, I want to see this myself, and I know you've got a demo. Before we jump into that, though, we do have a question from chat. I'm going to rephrase just a little bit. Ultra in chat, is HyperPod strictly for foundation model training?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's a cluster which offers resilience capabilities which become extremely relevant when you have long-running distributed training process. Failures can happen, so you want resiliency. You want to leverage on the distributed training optimizations which are available out of the box. So the distributed training libraries that AWS builds, SageMaker model parallelism, SageMaker distributed data parallelism. But at the same time, nothing prevents you from spinning up an HyperPod cluster to run, for example, a large-scale data processing workload. I've worked with customers who are doing some large-scale data processing on HyperPod cluster. They are customizing the stack. HyperPod is extremely customizable, and they just run it.
Let's see it.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's pull up Giuseppe's screen. There it is. Look.
Great. I am on the AWS console here on the Amazon SageMaker AI landing page, and I can go into the training plans section now. Let me open up the screen. So let's see what is the experience to create a new training plan. So if I click on Create Training Plan here, first thing that I can select is whether I want to target SageMaker training jobs, or I want to use the training plan with a HyperPod cluster. Let's suppose that I want to use it with a HyperPod cluster, and then I'm picking here an instance type. Let's say I want to use P5 instances with H100 GPUs. And let's say I want 4 instances. I can select up to 64 instances. Let me go with 4 to keep it simple. Then you can specify a start date and optionally an end date. So let's say your workload is kind of a specific end date by which you want your workload to be completed. Then you can set also the end date there. And then you can set the duration. So how long do you want these instances to be available? Let's say I start simple. Let's do just 4 days. And then search for the training plan. Yeah, as you can see, I've meshed the plan here. So this plan is built of a single segment, so a single block of capacity, which will become available on December 6th, as you can see here. And the end date will be December 10th, okay? And then you also get the total upfront price that you will have to pay if you decide to purchase this plan with the price breakdown as well. So let's do another test. Let's assume that I want to keep these instances maybe for 20 days, so a longer period of time. So let's see if we get a matching plan here. It's kind of computing, and we have a matching plan, but this time we are getting 2 segments, 2 blocks of capacities. This block of capacity can also be time spaced. So it's you get the 6 days. For 6 days you get the instances from a certain start date to a certain end date, and then the second block of capacity can start later on. What will happen is that SageMaker HyperPod will automatically manage terminating the infrastructure when the first block of capacity reaches the end date, and then restarting the instance group when the second block of capacity becomes available again. And with the right checkpointing logic, you can make sure that your training process can continue later.
So this is precisely the value proposition of HyperPod itself. Yeah. If in the absence of HyperPod, where it said 0-second interval there, it would be much higher if it were customer managed and you having to move your workload.
If you have to find by yourself the capacity maybe across multiple availability zones,
right.
Or
But now it's AWS managed.
That's fully managed. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to. So, well, we can just proceed here. You just need to give the training plan a name. Let me put a random name, and then finally you have the opportunity to purchase this plan. I'm not gonna purchase. I'm not gonna pay $86K now. So I will use an existing training plan because I already have one. So I don't need to purchase another one. So let me move back, and here you can see in the list of training plans that I have a few training plans. 2 of them are already active. So this is the Jumper Reinvent P5, well, Jumbo is my alias. I used to name resources with my alias as a prefix. And there's a P5 one that is targeting HyperPod cluster, which is made of total 4 P5s. And as you can see, I have 4 instances in use.
Okay.
And the reason is that I already have an HyperPod cluster that is using that capacity. Okay. And another one is the Jumbo Reinvent P4D, which is targeting training jobs in this case. This is made of 2 P4D instances, and I'm not using any instance at the moment. So I have 2 available instances ready to be used to submit a training job. I also have another training plan of a single P4 instance, which is, as you can see, in scheduled state. It has not reached the start date, but nothing prevents me from using that plan and submitting a job with that plan. It will be just triggered later on when the plan becomes available.
And if you schedule a training plan into the future, it's yet to be active, and then you wanted to modify that schedule.
The schedule is predefined, so it's when the plan will start. It's something that you get when you search the plan.
Right.
Okay. So what you can do is you can already provision a cluster or an instance group in a cluster, or schedule a SageMaker training job with that training plan. Now, let me show you how it looks like from the HyperPod side. Let me move to the cluster management screen. When you create, how does it work? How do you associate the training plan to the HyperPod cluster? So let's say I create a cluster. I'm choosing Slurm as an orchestrator, just for simplicity here. Then
nice cluster name.
Yeah, just random cluster name. And then when you create the instance group, as I was mentioning, so you can then put a name. And when you select the instance type for your instance group, let's suppose this is the group of the worker nodes of your HyperPod cluster, of your Slurm cluster. Okay, so let me pick here, for example, the P548XL, and I set a quantity of 2 instances. Now we have this new option. So you can select if you want the on-demand capacity or you want to use the capacity from the training plan. So you associate the training plan at the time you create the instance group. That's the way. So this
is a perfect example of the before and after the introduction of training plans.
Yeah. I'm not going to create the HyperPod clusters. This will take some time. So let me go back to a cluster that is already running. And if I open this cluster, you can see that I already have a worker group with 4 P5 instances that are coming from my training plan. We can also realize that from the AWS console screen, from the cluster details screen. And just to prove that, so seeing it in action.
We like proof. Yeah.
I am connected to my HyperPod cluster with Visual Studio Remote Development Extension, doing SSH into the cluster, so over an SSM connection, AWS Systems Manager connection. And for example, if I look at the state of the partitions in this Slurm cluster, you can see that I have 4 P548XL instances, and I can also run a simple command on a node, on a single node, like NVIDIA, SMI, to check the status of my GPUs, and then here I'm getting the output that I have my 8 NVIDIA H100 GPUs on this instance that I am targeting. Again, nothing prevents me from now running other training jobs, submitting jobs through Slurm to this cluster, and utilize the compute capacity. That said, I also want to show you what the experience looks like when it comes to running training jobs with training plans. So submitting a SageMaker training job. So here we're not on a HyperPod. Here we are on the ephemeral training jobs. This, it's another way to submit jobs to run training on SageMaker.
Okay. Still within that bubble of needing accelerated compute.
Yeah. So still the possibility to run distributed training, but with an ephemeral cluster in this case. And this is SageMaker training jobs. And here this is an example on how to run some fine tuning with Llama models. I'm not going too much into the details. It's a pretty long example that shows how to use context parallelism techniques. But what I really want you to show is how easy it is to submit a job with a training plan. So if you look at the where it is, there's a piece of code that runs the job. It's down here. So this is the SageMaker Python SDK estimator class, which is used to trigger SageMaker training jobs. And there's a new parameter here. You just need to set the that's it. Just need to set the Amazon resource name of the training plan that you want to use. Okay, so that's it. You just run. We can also try running. Let's see what happens. We are now submitting the job, and you will see that it will try to get the capacity from the training plan. So as you can see, you get training job schedule, awaiting training plan capacity. It will get instance in few seconds.
I was about to ask you this. I see this resumed from checkpoint, Giuseppe. Can you talk to me a little bit about, like pauses for availability, right?
Sure.
And then how the job resumes.
Yeah, so you need to make sure that you have your right checkpointing logic in your code, and then what will happen is that when the infrastructure is spin up again, you have to resume the state from the checkpoints. And I think you have done a session on the SageMaker recipes, which also provide automatic checkpointing capabilities, so you can even combine the two and run fine-tuning and pre-training with recipes, plus a HyperPod cluster with training plans. That would,
yes,
really
we talked with Faye about that. Faye walked us through all of that. If you want to check out those recipes, they are available on GitHub, so you can go check those out.
Yeah,
there will be obviously a video on demand of that session too if you missed it. You want to go watch it later.
And as you can see now, I have, for my training plan, I have one instance in use because the training job is picking one instance from the plan. So you get also, it's nice because you also get the visibility of the resource utilization. So how many instances you're using across the jobs and so on. And if I go to the training jobs, to the list of the jobs, this is the list of the jobs. As you can see, there is a job, is this one, which is in progress, pending state. And this job now has an associated training plan. So from the details of the job, you can realize somewhere up here that this is the training plan associated. This is a new section that we have added to give visibility of which training plan is being utilized with which job. And another little things that I want to show you is a job that I have submitted before this session using the plan that was not yet active. Okay, so this is just in pending state. So it stays in pending state, and it will stay in this state until the training plan is activated, and then it will be started automatically.
Oh, that's very cool.
So we only have a few minutes remaining here, and I just want to circle back. For those tuning in for the first time, hello, welcome to AWS OnAir. Super exciting launch here. I'm Robbie, this is AM. We're talking about HyperPod training plans. If you have to distill down the top 3 benefits, we talked about cost savings, we talked about embedding the existing SageMaker primitives you know and love. What are some of the benefits
that you see? Predictable access to the capacity, so you know when you will get access to the capacity, and this is a key flexibility for customers. And you can plan ahead of time while making sure that you respect your budget.
I loved the budget. Like that was really cool to see the estimated budget too. Very cool stuff. How do people get started with this?
That's pretty straightforward. This is a GA service. You can just go to the AWS console. One thing that and use the training plan. One thing to keep in mind is that you might have to tune some of the limits in the for your account to utilize the training plans.
Okay, very cool. It sounds too like there might be some good synergy there with using the recipes, so you get that checkpointing as well. Yeah. So go check out the recipes, check out training plans, check out task governance too. There's so much to check out for HyperPod, but unfortunately, we're going to have to move on to the next segment for now.